to be searching for the thing.
Waiting. Oh, we're live. We're live. We're live. Hey, everybody. It's JJ Conway. I'm so excited that you're on with us today. I do have just one quick little announcement. Normally I say that I'm going to stay on until the last question is answered, and I'm not doing that today. It is the last night of our January consecration, which is a month-long series of fasts that my church does. And I tell you what, fasting every day till 4 is definitely something that takes a little bit out of you, and I really want to make sure that I get a chance to eat some food and get a chance to spend some time with my family before I go to sleep and start another fast. Oh, speaking of family, who is this? Well, hello there, little snuggly bear.
Hello, my name is Rangy.
Hi, Rangy. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am Ultra Nene's teddy bear.
Oh, well, you are certainly a very snuggly teddy bear. Is Ultra Nene going to join us today?
Hey, guys. Hi, Rangy.
What do you have for us today, hon?
I have for
you got to come over so the YouTube can hear you.
I have for you guys another football card.
Ooh.
My good friend Rangy will read. Let's see here. Got it. It's another one of the fire ones.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what it says. Confidence is your greatest playbook.
Ooh.
Wait. This kind of doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't?
No.
Yeah, I guess confidence, because what's the playbook? What's the playbook?
The play that you have to be confident in?
Well, I mean in sports, like when you're in football, you remember your playbook?
Something that you it's a certain thing that you have to do.
You have to learn all the plays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little miswritten, because if your plays just said confidence, you walked up on the football field with all the swagger, but you got no skill. I don't think it's going to help you win the game, is it? But on the other hand,
confidence is the greatest key to winning.
It's such a great key to winning. Why is that?
Because if you don't have confidence, then you're just probably going to give up. And like Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good wisdom right there. If we're not confident, sometimes we can have talents or gifts or skills, and then we don't even use them to their fullest because we just don't feel like we're enough or that we can do it. And so that's a good one for today. All right, tell everybody bye, and we're going to get into our class for today.
Bye. Enjoy the class. And make sure to see Ultra Nene at Ultra Cubby at YouTube. Bye.
All right, that's right. You can find a little guy there at Ultra Cubby YouTube @ Ultra Cubby, something like that. Okay, everybody. So today we are going to continue our gift giving series, and I was really upset with myself that I didn't get the gift giving series out before the holidays, and it's turning out to be a blessing in disguise. The holidays was a crazy time for my family, both my immediate family and extended family, and I was just so busy traveling to homegoings and other things that we just really couldn't get things out. And plus we had some issues with the broadcast equipment. We don't know why. It just resolved itself. We don't know why. Maybe I had too many tabs on my computer. I don't know, but it resolved itself, so I'm thankful. And then we also had the football championship, the state championship game. Our team won the state championships. So it was just one of those seasons of life that just escaped me. But now, helping my clients deal with the aftermath of the holidays, paying back all the bills that they have to pay, finding how they're going to plan for next year, and then some folks dealing with the aftermath of really having an unfulfilling holiday season. And I am not a doctor. I am not a counselor. I don't play one on TV, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night. All right. But one thing I do know is that As a financial planner and a financial coach, there's nothing that derails us from our financial goals faster than strong emotions, either happy or sad, depending on our makeup. And for many of us, the devastation of a holiday season that wasn't quite so magical after all, and then having to pick up those bills and pay for those bills in January and pick up the pieces of any broken or maybe they were already ruptured relationships, but they became real and obviously ruptured and broken during the holiday season. Yeah, that can really lead to a lot of frenetic and destructive money habits. And so that's why I'm really glad that we're talking about these things. And so last time we did a series on we talked about unwanted gifts, what to do with unwanted gifts. And y'all know I don't have a problem regifting. Now if you regift me something that I gifted you, I would kind of rather you let me know that this isn't something you like, because I wouldn't want to buy it for you again, and if you wait a year, I may not get the hint. I might have already bought you the same thing again because you ooh nod over it, right? But I know that everybody's not like that. So we went through all these different options. We used the results of the online poll that I did. And so that was really a lot of fun. With that though, last year I remember one of my most popular talks was actually kind of an accident because we were talking about what if you spent money and time and effort on gifts and you got nothing in return. How hurtful and painful is that, And it led to a whole teaching on the levels of friendship. And I think that's really going to be important to revisit that during this holiday season. Okay. So let me just take a quick drink here. Please give me some likes or loves if you can hear me okay. I did not plug in the earbud today because I can't find it. If you look at my desk, you can probably be like, I know why she can't find it, because this is even bad for me. Like, it's bad when I'm like, oh, this needs to be cleaned up. Like, I've got stuff precariously balanced, and I'm hoping I don't knock anything over while I'm teaching tonight. So we're going to work on this tomorrow. And I'm sure I will find those. I will find that earbuds. But we've also tried different headsets and things like that. And we had one that was sent to me, and we thought it was going to work last time, and it looked good. Ooh, it looked good on the camera, y'all. It looked so good. I looked good with that headset. I looked all kinds of professional, like back when I used to have my mic in front of me. Y'all, I loved it how it looked. But you know what? That mic didn't do a thing. It did not do a thing. And I was all having a little guy lean into the mic, and it was doing nothing. It was doing nothing. It was all through the camera. So anyhow, now that we've got that settled, I think we've got enough people on to go ahead and dig into our topic today. If you find that you are constantly buying for others, maybe you just don't want people to feel left out. Maybe you remember what it was like when you didn't have when you didn't have gifts, you didn't have a lot of money, and you remember how hard it was to buy gifts. And so when you see somebody struggling, that single mom struggling, you want to give her kids something, maybe you're constantly buying for others because you feel like you're new, and you feel like you got to be friendly to get friends, like that's practically a scripture. Well, not practically, it is a scripture, right? He who will have friends, or a man who would have friends, must first show himself friendly, right? That's a scripture. True. And scriptures are true. I believe they are true. This is not a religious podcast, but they are true. Oh, y'all, I did not even introduce my podcast. All right, let me finish this thought, and then I will introduce the podcast. And so that is a scripture. It is true, in my opinion. But you know what? It's not a scripture that applies to every single situation regarding making friends. You are not going to be friends with everybody. Oh, and if you are calm, really calm, to make a huge impact by disrupting status quo, you are probably going to have a very small inner circle. So when it comes to gifts and you feeling sad because you gave all this effort and you got little in return, I want you to understand others may not consider you as much of a friend as you consider them. And while that hurts, I know. One of the most common things I get on my private classes is, wow, that's a little harsh. I'm like, I know, because if I sugarcoat it, you won't internalize it. So while it hurts, it's important to observe. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how this played out in my life before I started observing it. And then we're going to tell you what to do about it. Okay. But before I do that, let me welcome you to the Ladies of Wealth podcast. I am so excited to welcome you to our live recording. We do take this live recording, we split it up, and we post it out on all the YouTube channels. We've got Spotify, we've got I think still iTunes. Google, I think, changed to YouTube podcast or something like that. I got to figure out how to get on Netflix podcast. So if anybody's got the hookup for that, I'll help you, sister, out. All right. But we're on Ghana and in India. We are in all kinds of podcasts all over the world. And we are here, the Ladies of Wealth podcast, helping hard-working women and a few good men dump debt and build wealth and leave a legacy. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to our live recording Thursday nights. If you have not been here with us live before, then you know you can ask your questions in the chat. Now, normally I stay until the very last question is answered, but today I'm going to be leaving early because it is the last night of our consecration fast. Tomorrow's the last day of the fast, and I do want to get some rest before I spend another day not eating till late because your girl clearly likes to eat. Okay, so I remember, oh my goodness, I remember when I gave gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts. And when I was the pastor's wife, when my ex-husband became a pastor, I was giving gifts out of obligation. I mean, there were a handful of people in the church that I truly liked, but I didn't want to alienate anybody. I didn't want to make anybody feel bad. I certainly didn't want anybody to be like, huh, they didn't give me a gift, because I didn't want to cause a rift in the church. Look, some of us got to know what we got and what we don't got. And I know about me, I know I already make enough social faux pas. I already say the wrong thing and I don't realize it till I see the look on your face. I already know this issue or that issue, and I already know that I'm not going to lie to make you feel better about yourself. So I got all that working against me already. The last thing I want to do is add something that I can control when I do believe in controlling the controllables. So if it's something you can control it. If it's something you can't control, then don't worry about it. I don't believe. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You can point fingers and say this or say that all you want, but I do not believe in taking in energy that I couldn't control in the first place. I got a 20-year-old son. I can't control what he does. I can't control what he does. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. Now I'm gonna pray for the brother. I'm going to pray that he avoids all the pitfalls that I've worked so hard to help him, not encounter or not deal with the wrong way as he grew up. I'm certainly going to pray about that, but I'm not internalizing any mistakes he might make. He got to make those on his own. Most of us, as we grew up, had to make our own mistakes and learn our own things the hard way. And I'm not saying that because he made any mistakes, but I know too many parents who have internalized the hurt because of what their kids did or didn't do. And I'm like, you can't control but so much of that. And the older they get, the less you can control. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go shopping and call it a day. All right. I know, y'all. I know some of you think, well, that's easy to say. You don't know what I've been through, honey. You don't know what I've been through the last year and a half that somebody done moved out the house and called themselves grown. Oh my goodness. It has been a whole new thing. And I love my oldest dearly. And I know he loves his mama, but at some point he got to find his own way, and I got to let him. All right. And so, but what I see as a financial planner is I see the result of that internalization. I see the result of you taking in everything that somebody said bad about you. I see the result of you taking in every time somebody mad at you. I see the result of you taking in when you worked hard to give them this gift and then they complain about it because they say they wanted that. And you know fair, full and well, if you'd have gotten them what they said they wanted, they'd still find a way to complain. Why are you even letting that energy bother you? Don't do that today. Don't treat my friend like that. 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 At least treat yourself as well as you would like a stranger on the street. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn too. And this is part of learning that lesson. Okay. So I did all those things for everybody. I didn't want anybody to feel left out. I didn't want to cause any more international incidents than I already did. And so I would just buy everything for everybody. And they were pretty too. And I would wrap them all nice, and they would have the bows on them and stuff. And I truly actually enjoy that. I actually do like gift giving in the sense of I like seeing somebody happy or feel special. I'm just not very good at it. And I used to really love gift wrapping, but now I'm like, that's a whole lot of work and nobody cares. So I'm not even going to bother. Let's put that in a bag, fluff some stuff, done. Okay. But I did all those things, and the church Christmas tree looks so nice. It looks so good. But I'm going to tell you what never happened. There was never anything under that tree for me. And after a while of getting my feelings hurt, I had to have a real heart-to-heart with the Lord about why was I so upset. Because I had been taught that when you give, you shouldn't let your heart go after it. When you're giving to the man or woman of God, when you're giving to the people of God, that's really you giving to God. But see, my psyche was like, ain't something right here. This person, that person taking my gifts, eating the chocolate and the cookies, and they're burping it up, and they don't even say thank you. And I had to dig in deep and figure out what was really going on. And what was really going on deep down inside. I know you're stronger than me. You're more confident than me. You ain't never had this problem. You have never had this problem. Everything you've always done has been strategic and perfect. And you have never overextended. I know that. I can't even say it with a straight face. You know why I can't say it with a straight face? Because most of y'all watching me today, you've been my clients. And I know that you know that I know you have been in the same trap, doing everything for everybody, buying everything for everybody, buying gifts and buying this and buying that because you want to be accepted, because you want to be loved, because you want to be honored, because you want to be thanked. And I'm not here to rain on your parade. You know, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm not the same way in some things. Like, you want me to sponsor your event. There are very, very few events that I'm going to take my marketing dollars for Conway Financial Group or Ladies of Wealth Podcast and put them into that marketing structure known as a sponsorship of your event, or as a sponsorship of your book, or a sponsorship of your conference. There's very few people that I am going to just give that budget to where my business is not getting something out of it. I was on the board one time. I'm going to get to unrequited gifts in a minute, but I think somebody needs to hear this today. I was on a board one time, and they brought me in specifically because they thought I was the money lady and I could make it rain. And I was like, yeah, I have learned from one of the greats. Now, I am not even the great of the great, but there is a friend of mine who, we had served in the military together forever. She is the queen of fundraising. And while I don't have the gift she has, I've learned as much as I can. And one of the things I know is if you are asking people to give their money, and you're asking people to sponsor your events, and you're asking people to put, do this and do that for your nonprofit, you got to have a story. You've got to have a compelling reason. You've got to have something that makes people want to give and want to be a part of what you're doing. And you got to give their business a little something. You got to give them some exposure. You got to give them some connection. You got to make them VIPs so they can come in and hobnob with your guest speaker. You got to do something so they get something in return. And it's a very small lesson that a lot of nonprofits, a lot of churches, a lot of youth programs don't understand. And that's why they broke. And somebody else over here, they're not even doing half the good you're doing in the world, but they got plenty of funding. Ooh, I done said a whole word. That is not the class for today, but I'm sure that can help somebody. All right, all right. Going back to the story of buying all the gifts for every member in our church. Oh, y'all. I needed to learn. And this was 20 years ago, okay? So don't, and these people aren't even in the church anymore. So that church is even there anymore, okay? You know, there's not anything bad happened. People moved away, people passed away. It's just, I had to learn to really dig deep and find out what it was that I was trying to do. And a lot of us, we're not in touch with what it is we're really trying to do. We think we're trying to do this thing over here. Our conscious brain is saying, we're doing this. But our subconscious is like, I want a hug. I want someone to care. I want someone to honor me. I'm that little child that never got acknowledged. My parents never came to the game. My big sister beat up on me night and day. I'm trying to make stuff up here because I don't want anybody to think I'm talking about them. But there's still those hurts and those things that haven't been solved. And we carry that into adulthood. And then don't be different. I mean, some of us, we just look different. Some of us, we act different. Some of us carry ourselves different. That's already an extra layer of ostracization. And now you've added complications to it. And I had to come to terms with the fact that there were two aspects at play. One, I didn't want anybody in that church to be left out on Christmas Day. I didn't want anybody in that church to not have a gift under the tree, including myself. So I started buying myself one. I didn't want anybody in there to see other people giving gifts to other people because they're friends with other people, but nobody gave them a gift. I didn't want that. At the same time, I had to understand that part of what was going on in my heart was the hope that I could scoop up all those individuals and build a tribe. And that wasn't what the Lord called me to do. He didn't call me to build a tribe. He called me to give gifts as part of the ministry, but he didn't call me to build a tribe. That's why I was trying to build this tribe of people who weren't receptive to me, who did not resonate with me. And to them, I don't even want to say this because it was not my heart at all. To them, it appeared like I was trying to buy friendship. And I don't know how it appears, the things that you're doing. But if you're in an unrequited gift situation, it could be one of many things, many things. This is not the only couple of things. But it could be that you're giving to people who perceive it, or maybe there's just one queen bee who perceives it and they've kind of influenced everybody else, that you're just trying to buy friendship. It could be that there's people that perceive it as weakness because we treat them so bad, and yet she's still buying us gifts. It could be that the people that you have surrounded yourself with just don't care. Either they don't care about gifts, period, and I'll tell you a story about that later, or they just don't care about gifts for you. Oh, that is so mean. JJ, how could you say that? Aren't you trying to sell stuff? Don't you want people in your classes? I want people in my classes, but you know what I really want? I want you in my class. I want you healthy and I want you whole. And I have worked really hard since retiring from the military to curate for myself a space of people that resonate with me and people that lift me up. And that doesn't mean that maybe there's somebody in my life that may have been a friend for a long time, and maybe we don't really lift each other up the way I would like. And I don't ever cast away a friendship. But when I'm in a season of needing encouragement, and when I'm in a season of needing to walk in abundance, and when I need people that are going to be the wind beneath my sails, and when I need people to encourage me, I don't call that person. And some of us today, we've been spending so much time chasing after the approval and the acceptance and an encouraging word. from people that are never going to give it. And then we get our heart broken with unrequited gifts. And for me, in that situation, I had to learn I wasn't given to me. I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the Lord. I was doing it for the sake of the ministry and for the church. And I had to trust that the Lord was going to give me the desires of my heart. And that's an abundance principle. It's an abundance principle. Whether you share my faith or don't, there's an abundance principle. In fact, in the spirit of what is it called? The spirit of opulence, which does not mean what it would mean today. But when Thomas Troward wrote it, it meant something else. Opulence meant abundance back then. He writes about first giving to others before you receive, but not to give what you don't have. And he specifically mentions money, y'all. Now, I know credit cards weren't a thing back then, but emptying your savings, chasing after the next snake oil, emptying your savings, chasing after this, or emptying your savings, chasing after that dream, or chasing after this affection, or this next thing. If I just buy this next thing, it'll make me cool enough that people will accept me. And I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and I remember a time in my life I wasn't even trying to get people to love me. I just wanted people to treat me normal. And I'll never forget it, because it was when I was in my early 20s, and I came into the ministry, and we were in Italy for a missions convention, and the bishop had laid hands on me and delivered me from a lot of things, including a cult, and from my background. Like, people are like, I came for a secular financial podcast, and she's talking about a cult in church. But I remember when he laid hands and prayed for me, and he took away the Lord using him took away the depression that I had felt. The Lord had saved me and had changed my life, but I still had this underlying gnawing away at my bones that I wasn't even qualified to breathe the air that everybody else around me was breathing. And because I had such success in the secular world, even that early in my young career, people would be like, oh, it's false humility, or, oh, you're pretending. No, I felt horrible about myself. I thought I was the worst person in the world. Now, granted, I had spent a lifetime up to then being told that, and I believed a lot of what I'd been told. I never challenged it. I didn't have any evidence in my life that I was anything else. Some of us have been chasing after stuff for a long, 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 long time. We've been adding more and more letters after our name. We've been adding more and more accolades at our job. We've been chasing this elusive thing that other people outside of us can't ever give us. No matter how much money, time, and energy you spend on them. So when Thomas Troward wrote, to only give what you have, he was very emphatic about not giving money that you can't afford to give. He said, give of what you do have. There's all kinds of forms of abundance. Some of the big types are financial, relational, physical, abundance of self-expression, spiritual abundance. And he was like, if you don't have abundant finances, well, what do you have in abundance? Can you bless people spiritually? Can you help them physically? Can you help them on the relational plane? I mean, some of us are really good connecting people with others. Some people's relationships are worth way more than dollars. So I chose to give to others in the one plane, physical, the gifts, knowing that the Lord would repay. And I know that some of those members didn't get many other gifts around their tree. And the only way to give them something sweet without upsetting the others was to buy for everyone. So it was just part of my spend plan. It was part of the cost of making sure everybody had at least one gift for Christmas. And I began to notice a curious thing in the rest of my life as well. I began to notice that people didn't really gift me things or acknowledge special days for me. And I honestly began to wonder, if something was wrong with me, I would send out, back in the day when the text messages, you had to hit like each letter 3 times and you could do 20 people at a time. Man, I would send like over 200, 300 to almost our entire international leadership of our church and my friends in the Air Force. So I had a lot of people, like I had a lot of people that I've known all over the world. And I would send them out, happy Mother's Day, or happy Flag Day, or happy Independence Day, or whatever it was. Have Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I began to wonder if something was wrong with me until I took the Train the Trainer for FireOB, which is a personality assessment that explores your desire for inclusion, control, and affection. Okay. And this assessment, it's a really, look, y'all, if you've never done it and your teams are tired of like the true colors and the disc and all that we do over and over and over again, this assessment is actually a really great one for teams that have become stagnant and jaded against each other, because they're tired of other team building efforts, because it feels like the same old that we're always used to in corporate training, right? But in this particular FireOB, on the control, it measures how much control you want over somebody and how much control you want other people to have over your workday. Do you like being told what to do and how to do it? Or do you like being told what needs to be done and figure it out your way? When it comes to inclusion, it looks at whether you want to be included in group dynamics and decisions, or do you prefer to work alone and make your own decisions? Which also measures affection. Do you like to give affection to others? And do you like to receive affection from others? A very powerful test. And some of you would be very surprised at the results. And what surprised me, y'all, oh my goodness, every single person in the group, my work center. So this was a training of a group of us that went out and trained other Air Force leaders. And all of us in this training team scored with a low need for others to show them affection, except for me. I am much more affectionate since having kids, and I'm much more affectionate since the car accident that kind of changed my personality a little bit. But I was not by nature a very affectionate person. Like I care, but I was like, and I'm still, the Lord is still healing me of foot and mouth disease, right? He's showing me how to season my words in grace, and I really, y'all pray for me, because I'm still seeking a nice way to like say, stop whining about the same thing over and over and let's do something about it, right? Like the Lord still hasn't, that's something I just haven't solved yet. The Spirit hasn't given me the answer yet. So I really did not expect that my score was going to come out to need so much affection. I'm going to tell you what made me realize the guy was right, that the test wasn't messed up. He said, you probably give everybody a birthday card and you get sad when nobody remembers your birthday. And you do nice little things for people when you can, but you don't see people do that for you. Y'all, I almost started crying in my uniform. And that's a big no-no for women leaders in the military, okay? And he said, the next time that happens, don't take it personal. Just remember, everybody else in your office has a low need for affection. They have a low need to give it and a low need to receive it. How powerful that was. Gotta be honest, I simply stopped doing it. I still give Christmas cards, but that was about it. And guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody's feelings were hurt. Nobody mentioned it. They just didn't care. The other thing that I began to notice in this journey, and again, this was 20 years ago that I started coming to this awareness. And I hope, I've heard people say, well, I used to be this and I used to be that. And I look at them like 20 years later and I'm like, it's 20 years. You still like that. So I'm not gonna pretend I'm all the way delivered. But one of the things that I noticed is I just wasn't really good at giving gifts. I try to listen for clues of what people might like. And a long time ago, when I had like 3 bedrooms and no kids, or 4 bedrooms and no kids to put in them, right? Like I had a gift giving chest of drawers, right? And I would shop throughout the year and I would keep things in this gift cabinet, dresser, drawers, whatever you call it. So I would always have the perfect gift. Ooh, I would always have the perfect gift. Oh, so-and-so might like this. I'm going to get this for the next time I need to give them a gift. But you know what? Those gifts were not well received. And I might have one or two stock gifts on hand because of, being a mom, last minute birthday parties. But I don't have them. I don't have a whole chest of drawers full of gifts anymore like I used to. Man, I would go through, somebody was going out of business. They had really nice stuff and I could get like, $30 or $40 things for $1 or $2. Man, I'd buy up the whole store because I knew those gifts would go somewhere. I was good at going through the checklist and I had an occasions calendar to tell me when people's birthdays and things like I need to get that back again. I need to get back into that because my phone, they be dropping birthdays. And I'm like, it drops notes, like birthdays and anniversaries and notes. I'm like, you're supposed to be the best phone out there. Anyway, iPhone rant off. Although, okay, let me just do an aside, y'all. I'm so excited about this. The iPhone now has a send it later feature. If you have not seen this yet, you have got to go out there and let me send a text. Let me send not send, but let me pretend I'm sending a text to my husband. Okay. When you go, there's a new option now. I don't know if y'all can see that on that camera that says send later. So for all the issues with the newest updates, right? That's actually a cool one. That is one of the biggest features that I have missed from having an iPhone, switching from Android to iPhone. Now, if they could just give me back my broadcast messages, now I would love that. For those of you who've never had an Android, a broadcast messages, you send it to a group, but they can only respond to you. They don't see everybody and their brother who's in the group. So I love that because I can send a message and ask people's opinions, but everybody isn't swayed by the opinions of everybody else. That plus the send later. Oh, y'all, look, it's on. Like, people are like, why don't you respond to my text? Because I read it at 3 a.m. and I know that if I open it up, it's going to show you I read it, but I can't respond to you at 3 a.m. I'm going to look crazy. I am crazy a little bit. The Lord still delivered me of that, but I don't want to look crazy. Anyway, I'm really excited about that new feature. Oh, if they could give me my broadcast, I might become an iPhone believer. All right. Now I just have it now because it works well with my husband and the people around in the circles that I'm running in right now. But okay. I was talking about this gift thing with somebody the other day, and they were like, I was telling them how I have all these gifts and everything, and she was like the face, that t-shirt that says if my mouth doesn't say it, my face will, and her face was like, gifts aren't your love language. So you're not in tune with how to gift. Tell you what, y'all, about 15 years ago, I went to one of those church dinners. I think I may have said this when we did the buying gifts thing. We did the white elephant gift exchange, and I bought something I really like, and then I got stuck with a blanket. The $5 blanket. Like the minimum is supposed to be 20, right? But it's a $5. They show up with, y'all, 1 year. Why my child talking about he got the best gift of the group? The minimum of the gifts was supposed to be $25. And this person showed up with an old crumpled reused small, not even a nice big one, small paper bag with the little handles, like the 50-cent bag in Walmart, filled with 2 of those $2 candy canes of candy, and then 2 theater candy boxes. They spent like $4.50 on that thing. And my child was like, oh, I got the best gift. And I had told him, get the gift I brought for you. He didn't care about that gift. He wanted the candy. You know what? The way to my oldest heart, I don't know if his lady friend is watching, but the way to his heart has always been food. But anyway, I go to the store. I go to this one party, and I got the $5 blanket because I didn't do what I do now back then. But this is what caused me to start doing it. I'm gonna tell you in a second. The person who pulled my gift went on about how stupid it was, how horrible it was, and who brought this. And everybody else started laughing too. Yeah, you're getting stuck with that. Who would have bought that? That's something somebody got from work, and they just threw it in here to get rid of it. I was so embarrassed. I wanted to take it from him because he didn't want it. but I was so embarrassed and I was new to that town and I was trying to make friends and I just didn't want them to know that I was the one who brought it. Ooh, in hindsight, I probably should have. They're the same group of friends where I gave the little boy Play-Doh at the first birthday party my son ever got invited to. And I was over $800,000 in debt. And so, Play-Doh was a luxury at that point, but I didn't know what to get a 7-year-old boy. My son was only 4 at the time. And, you know, they expected me being the high-ranking person to give an expensive gift, and it was small too because it was Play-Doh. So they saved it towards the end, and then they opened it up, and they were like, "Oh, you got this, so it could get all in my carpet." Oh yeah, I was so humiliated. So maybe I should have just took it anyway. I was never going to get anywhere with that group of people, right? And I wasn't stationed there very long. Anyway, from then on, my one rule for all them white elephant gift exchanges, I'm gonna bring something I want, and I usually go home with it. I didn't last time. I was gonna, but the person who stole it from somebody else, they actually wanted it. And so I was gonna let them have it, and then somebody else stole it from them. And I don't know if they were just trying to make me feel better because I was hot. Like, how you gonna talk bad about that? It's the most expensive gift on that table. Anyway, I have learned, I said all that to say, I have learned I am not a good gift giver. I'm just not good at it. And maybe that's why I'm not offended if you regift something I gave you. I mean, I even asked my husband last year because we got him this big old thing of meats and cheeses from the Swiss colony. Y'all ever heard that? Well, he didn't like it. And I'm I'm not super mad because he told me and my son could have most of it, whatever we wanted. I guess what he didn't realize is whatever we want, we sat up all night eating that gift. We did save him. We saved him some little cakes, and we saved him a few sausages and cheeses that we thought he might like. But I'm gonna tell you what, me and Philip, we sat up watching anime. We tore that gift up. But that's $120 I won't ever spend on that company again. I will not be buying my husband any more meat and cheese platters. I might buy them for me, but it won't be that big a one. Okay, so me and gift giving, we don't go so well together, all right? And I don't get mad when I mess up and give you something you don't actually like. I just make a note not to get that next year, if I can remember. And I'm actually not a big fan of like gift cards and stuff. Not only because of the scams, but also they get stolen in the mail. And you give me a $50 gift card and I give you a $50 gift card. And I feel like we could have just saved our postage because I really don't want your money. I want your friendship. I want to go out to dinner together, go to meetup. I want to hang out whenever I come to speak in your town. And especially now that I live in rural Texas, like it takes me 3 hours to get to a Macy's and 2 hours to get to a Target. You give me a gift card, it probably going to cost me more to get to the store than to actually spend, right? And so, hang on a second. Oh my goodness. For those of you who are just joining us, we're at the end of a month-long fast. I'm kind of at the point where I'm tired of water. And so I haven't been drinking water during the day when we're not eating. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so parched. It's my own fault. Okay. Last year I was part of one where a gift exchange where they tell you everything. Well, everybody who was in the group, it was they all lived in the Metroplex, and they asked, well, what are your favorite restaurants? Well, now I'm out here in this small rural town, and there's no Maggiano's, there's no Fogo de Chao, there's no Cheesecake Factory. Now we got Newton's, we got Pattaya Thai. I love that. We have those are two of my favorite places in town. We have in one of my favorite places in town. We do have a Wingstop and we do have Starbucks. Our Starbucks we have a second Starbucks and a Chick-fil-A now and an Ulta and a TJ Maxx. I'm telling you what, this town is on the map. And we have a new restaurant that I really do like called The Seeker. And so I love the vibe. It's such a intercontinental vibe. I love it. But I mean, I I kind of got distracted thinking about all the food. What was I saying? Oh, because I'm like, wait, people complain about the college growing, but I'm like, you got the college growing, going D1, got me a Hobby Lobby and a TJ Maxx and a Chick-fil-A and an Ulta. I ain't complaining. Okay, okay. Let me get back to the topic at hand. Okay, but I'm in this gift exchange and I realize I don't have, other than Wingstop, which I'm not going to ask for a Wingstop gift card. Um, I don't even know if they make those, or Starbucks gift card. That's really kind of, I mean, that's not even my favorite coffee shop in town. I don't even go to Starbucks unless I'm traveling. I don't go to Starbucks here. I'm just pleased we got a second one because it makes Stephenville, we're on the map. We got 2 Starbucks now. We're still the town's still only like 6 or so miles from tip to tip, so it's not like a big town or anything. But hey, but then I was like, well, gee, what do I put down? They can't get here to get me a gift certificate to Newton's. That's a one-off restaurant, you know. I don't know. Maybe they could go online and get me something to the Seeker, but they're not going to be able to get anything that's in the price range of this gift exchange. So I was just like, well, gee, if I can't put down something I want, then they can't get me something I want. And it's like anything that we do in life. Garbage in, garbage out. If I don't give you good inputs, I can't expect that later to get good outputs, right? And so a lot of times we don't feed the system quality inputs. That's really what I was trying to get at with this, okay? We don't feed the system quality inputs, and then we're upset at what comes out. We give a ton of gifts. We give a ton of gifts to people who haven't put us in the friends category, and then later on we feel so sad they didn't give us anything in return. I want to hang on that for a second, okay? I want to hang on that for a second, and then I want to talk about what to do about it, okay? But if you, like I used to, feel like you're always giving, but people aren't reciprocating, then I want you to join me in really examining why you feel like giving the gift. There are different levels of friendship, and they're all predicated on how we feel around the person we potentially want to be around. Some people, they just naturally make other people feel like $1,000,000 and they want to be around that person. I'm not actually one of those people. I'm learning to be, I'm trying to be, because truth be told, I care way more about people than my exterior would suggest. And I pray for people and I consider people and I think about people way more than, and people are always surprised. They're like, I didn't know you actually cared that much. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I care so deeply. You'd be shocked at the things that I care about and cry about for people. But it just doesn't always come across that way. And on the flip side, I've known some people, like, especially, I love it when I come in contact with people like who are, in news reporting and things like that, because people that are in those fields where they're on camera and stuff a lot, because a lot of the people that I've met in those areas, they make you feel like you're the most important person they're talking to in the minute that they're talking. And you're just like, wow. And they usually, they take good care of themselves and everything. And you just feel like, wow, I just love being around this person. And you don't even know what it is. It's just something about them, right? Okay. And so some of us got that. Some of us got strengths in other areas. Okay. I've had to learn to be more friendly. And I suspect I'll be a lifelong student at the language of love. Because for me, do unto others as you would have them do unto you does not work. See, if you step on my foot and don't apologize, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be like, hey, that was my foot. Why would I say that? Because I would want to know. I would want to know if I accidentally stepped on your foot. If I cooked you something that you don't like to eat or that you have an allergy to. Now, I'm not going to want you to say that's nasty, but I'm not going to want you to lie and say, oh, that's so good. I love it. Because if I think you like it, I will make more of it for you. That would be a waste of my time and money. And you wouldn't like it. Now, if you tell me, here's a better way to scrub the dishes. Here's a faster way to get through Walmart. Unless you're trying to sell me something, I'm all ears. Okay. You got a way to do something that makes my life more productive, helps me to get done quicker. I'm here for it. But other people, not so much. Excuse me. I think I already mentioned some people you're just around, you just feel amazing around them. You just want to be their friend. Maybe they look good, they have clout, or maybe you're with somebody that might buy from you, so you want to be around them, or they might help your business. Rarely do people approach a new contact and try to build friendship because they want to bless the other person. That comes later. That comes later in the friendship journey. Okay. And so I'm looking at the time. If you are listening to me as part of a Ladies of Wealth podcast, I just realized that we are at 50 minutes. And even if I try to edit, I am not going to get this down to one podcast. In fact, that was just the intro. I'm going to have to figure out if I can possibly cut that down to 30 minutes, or if I'm just going to do a 2-part intro, because I feel like the stories were fun. If you feel like the stories were fun, let me know, because if the stories weren't fun, I don't want to put them on the podcast, right? But if you are listening to me as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I want to encourage you to go and listen to the next episode, because we're going to continue this discussion. Okay. Oh. All right. So one of the things that we have to do to combat this feeling of unrequited gifts, and I know one of my emails that went out today said unrequired gifts. I guess autocorrect got me on that one. But if we feel like we're giving, and we're not receiving a lot in return, or we're not receiving enough in return, or we're not receiving, I don't want to make it sound like the only reason to give is to receive. That is a main reason that people give. But if you're a person that gives because you love to give, and you haven't surrounded yourself with people who give because they love to give, then you need to, as I mentioned earlier, curate for yourself an environment of people that like to give the same way you like to give. Now, if you're one of those people that is like, I wish so and so would stop giving me these gifts, and it makes me feel like I'm obligated to give them something, and I just don't, there's no need for all that. Well, for you, that's a different journey. You're not really who I'm talking to, although you could use a few things of what I'm going to talk about. Okay. And so what we're going to go into right now are the levels of friendship. And I'm going to qualify this by starting off. I am not a psychologist. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a counselor. I am not a doctor. This is not a perfect list. I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn hotel last night. I don't play a doctor or lawyer or any of those things on TV. This is just what I've learned from living, and I hope that it will help you too. It's helped me, help hundreds of clients over the years who are struggling with overgiving or undergiving, or expecting more from relationships than the people are giving. Now, you may not, I want to say this, okay? Oh my goodness. I don't, mm, 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 mm. There are people who are predatory. Come into their life, they show you the moon. They make you feel like the most important person in the world. They give you gifts. They take you to nice places. They introduce you to cool people. They open up doors for you in cool spaces. And they just make you feel like together y'all are amazing. They might even, if it's romantic, they might tell you that nobody's ever understood them like you do. If even just in a friendship, they'd be like, wow, I've never connected with somebody like you. I've been waiting to meet somebody like you all my life. And I understand that feeling, because when you're an odd duck, sometimes it's very rare to find somebody else who's just as odd as you are. When you find them, you're like, oh, kindred spirits, right? And so I get that, but we have to be very careful of that, because sometimes unrequited gifts, where you give, and you don't get much back in return, could be because the person you are giving to ensnared you into what is going to become, if it has not already become, an abusive or predatory relationship. Now, the explanation of that is way beyond my pay grade, but you can check out my 2 interviews with H.G. Tudor about why high performing women become ensnared by narcissists and the financial ramifications of becoming ensnared by a narcissist. You can find those on my YouTube channel. Okay. And at the Ladies of Wealth podcast as well. Okay. So that aside, abuse aside, predatory behavior aside, okay, just we're talking about normal people here. We're gonna start at level 1, and that's the stranger, the people we pass as we're walking down the street or we meet in the store. Maybe we're a place to network and we're meeting all these people. We might say, hi, how you doing? We don't expect a long drawn out, my wife left me and my engine blew up on the way over here, okay? Now, if we do get a sob story the first time meeting someone, it could be genuine. I know I've done that to someone who seemed to be caring when I'm traveling, especially when my dad died. But usually that's a scam, okay? If you didn't know that, now you do. Level 2 is acquaintances. This is somebody you've met, two friendly people in line at the department store can become quick acquaintances right there on the spot. Someone like me could be behind you in line like 3 or 4 times in a row and never say hi. Because I'm not the person that random strangers ever really want to talk to, right? Like when I say, wait, let's say I talk to the cashier. Like I do try to talk to the cashier. I always try to look them in the eye. If they have a unique name or a unique pin or something like that, I want to praise it and because I appreciate them. They're doing a thankless job. And 9 times out of 10, anybody in a service capacity, all they get all day is dumped on and torn down. And so if I can lighten somebody's day just a little bit in appreciation of the fact that they are working and I'm not standing in the self-checkout holding up the line trying to figure out where the barcode is, I'm gonna praise it. I'm gonna put a smile on their face if I can. Okay, being a cashier is a thankless job. They have to bear the brunt of management's poor policies, and it makes all the difference when somebody can look somebody in the eye. I noticed, somebody taught me that when I was actually in the military. They taught me to look people in the eye and thank them, and that people in certain service categories never have anybody look them in the eye and actually connect with them. And I began to notice, I can be in a line. There can be 5 people ahead of me, and I might be the first person who looks them in the eye and smiles. So if you don't purposefully do that yet, go ahead and try. You're going to brighten somebody's day. And look, they might still bruise your apples, especially if they're college kids with no clue on how to pack stuff, because, nobody eats fresh fruit anymore, right? And they don't know to be gentle with it, but you'll still make their day. That positive energy will come back to you in other ways, all right? Anyway, let's say I get the same cashier and she's nice. She has an interesting story. I love to ask the young adult cashiers, especially what they're studying for, or if they're not in school, what job is this a stepping stone to? Because for most people, most young people, cashier is just a stepping stone job. Now, there's some of us who are a little bit more mature. We've retired and we realize we need a more engagement with people. So we might come up with some work to do, but it's not really, we're not climbing the corporate ladder. We're not funding another dream. We're just getting engaged with people, And I've met many enterprising young people that way, So let's say I come back a 3rd time, we start chatting. How's your little guy? Is your mom home from the hospital? Now we're acquaintances. Okay. I'm still not buying her a birthday gift. Okay. But if I'm choosing lines and I'm seeing her and someone I don't know, I'll choose her line and assure that I'm going to have a good experience that, who knows, might lead to friendship or my next employee one day. Right. Well, unless her line is like crazy long, I'm going to go where I know that I will have a nice, pleasant experience, and I know that I can brighten their day, and I know that they can enjoy chatting with me, and we can uplift each other's energy. Okay, so that's level 2, acquaintances. Okay, so now, wow, some of the comments are very interesting. Body by donuts. Well, it's been a while. It's been a while since I had a donut. Okay, let's see. I got distracted there. I want to come back to that later though, because people don't believe that people do things like that. And wow. Okay. I don't even recognize some of this. So I think this is like from the marketing company that I've got. And I'm like, your marketing company probably shouldn't be having people post stuff like that on my comments, right? So anyway, potential. Okay. Let me get a drink. Let me reset. All right. So level 3, we talked about level 1, that's a stranger. Level 2 is an acquaintance. You kind of recognize them, but they're not somebody that you know deep down inside, but they're somebody you recognize in the street or in the store. Level 3 is a potential friend. And this is where we're getting an effort to get to know each other. Like we might go to lunch together. We might go to a ball game together. We don't know each other really well, but we enjoy each other's company in the setting that brought us together. Okay. And we want to get to know each other well. So like maybe we meet each other at work and now we're slowly taking that relationship outside of the work center. Maybe we volunteer together in a nonprofit or a church. And now maybe we're going to meet for coffee or for lunch, or we're going to go do something together outside of it. Like there's someone I was serving with in one of the boards that I was serving with. And as I travel more as a speaker, I'm wanting to get better about wigs. And wigs, when you're in the military, I just pulled my hair back in a bun. I didn't care about my hair. Well, now I kind of care. And I kind of lost out on like 30 years of when all the other ladies were looking cute. I didn't learn all those wig skills. And she had some medical conditions that she was getting over. And so she was also wanting to go wig shopping. So I was like, okay, well, let's go together. Let's go shopping together. And let's be in this together, just get to know each other. So let's level 3. Now, the problem for a lot of us that have these unrequited gifts where we feel like we're giving and people aren't giving back to us. We need to be careful not to put potential friends in the friend category too soon. I'm so guilty of that, y'all. Oh, I'm so guilty of that. Or I think someone's a potential friend when they're really an acquaintance. So example, I was at a I was boy, all of my examples today are church related. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, but not sorry. And in fact, the older I get and the more established I get in my business, the less sorry I get. Like I had a business leader who removed me from her lineup because I wouldn't take my church stuff off my page. And I'm like, I'm a pastor. I can't not talk about church sometimes because I'm a pastor. Like, I don't want to be all in your face with scripture and make you feel like you got to edit yourself and be uncomfortable around me. I really don't like it when people do that. I want people to be able to feel comfortable. I want them to feel God's love and acceptance with me. But at the end of the day, I'm who I am. And so anyway, with this example, there was this large church. I lived in a state that did not have a Church of the Living God International, and so even though I still retained my minister's license, I was with this fellowship with this big church, and I enjoyed the singles group. And they had a Valentine's Day party, and everybody was invited, and it was one of those things where you have to buzz to get into the building. And I got there with me and my son. We drove an hour to get there. My oldest was pretty young and he was quite tired and we couldn't get anybody's attention. We could see them, but nobody would open the door for us as we buzzed. And I didn't want to disappoint him. We'd already driven an hour and he could see some of the friends some of the big kid friends, that he knew from the party. So I didn't want to disappoint him. And we thought they didn't see us. Well, we eventually tailgated and found out that people did see us, but I was almost 40 and they were in their 20s. Now, we were all singles, but I wasn't the kind of single that they were really catering to. And I didn't get the memo because I had other friends who were just as old as me who were in that group. The difference was those friends, those two guys were single men, and I was a woman with a child, a divorcee with a child. Totally different context. They didn't think I was actually invited to the party. And now this does tell you a little bit of a difference in generations because the 40 plus people that, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s would invite you in and be polite, even though you weren't supposed to be there, right? The 20 somethings are like, nope, you're not supposed to be here. Why are you here? Why are you here? And we still had a good time. I'm young at heart, but it was a strong reminder those folks weren't potential friends. They were acquaintances. And had I realized that, I wouldn't have traipsed my son an hour away for a Valentine's singles party. I would have declined the group invite and we would have just done our own thing. Maybe you guys all go, maybe I'll have a book club. Maybe like me and my son have been in the Promise the last year. And sometimes you're with people several times a week, and those groups get intimate real quick. Some groups do, some groups don't. Maybe some groups get intimate, but you're not a part of that. You think you are because you're hearing all these intimate details of somebody's life, but then you notice they give each other gifts and you don't get one. And that's a sign that they don't consider you a friend or a potential friend. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I know that this is a downer. I was actually trying to be more encouraging, but I still work with a lot of autistic young adults. And I find this to be one of the hardest things to understand. Yet once you understand it, I find it to be very freeing, because a lot of times those of us who are giving, and we're not receiving from the people we give to, it's because we're giving out of this pressure, this obligation, this fear. We're not giving because we truly just want to put a joy on somebody's face. And again, if you missed the earlier episode that we recorded earlier in the evening, go back and listen to it. I am not saying that you should spend your whole life, all your money, time, and energy giving and giving and giving and never expecting anything back. That is not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that we have to understand where we are and adjust our expectations accordingly. And if we don't like where we are, then we have to take action to make things better. All right, let me take a quick drink here. I am almost done for tonight. Oh, you want to come snuggle? All right, so I still work with a lot of what was I saying? Autistic. Yep, the autistic young adults. And I find that this is one of the hardest things for them to understand, because especially, around about the holidays, everybody gets so sad to find out they thought this person was a friend, but they're not. And it's going to happen again at Valentine's Day. In fact, my little guy, you know what? I just realized. Hey, Snuggy Boo. Come on, can you fit in there? It's not really good fit. It's not really a good fit. Can you get that leg in there? You're just determined to fit on my lap. So you're like 20 years old, aren't you?
Yeah.
You and Dad picked out all those Valentine's thingies, but you're not even going to be here for Valentine's Day. We're going to be at TMEA in San Antonio. I don't know when you're going to give them out.
They're going to be for me.
I'm okay with that. Dad might not be. Okay, we can't do this. It's going to hurt my leg.
It's not.
It is hurting my leg right now.
Okay.
You can have maybe about 5 minutes, maybe about 5 more minutes, okay? So anyway, so I deal with a lot of autistic young adults, and then they get sad to find out this person was a friend. They thought this person was a friend, but they're not really a friend. And it's gonna happen to Valentine's Day. 4th, 5th graders. I don't know exactly when it starts, but somebody's gonna come to school, and they're gonna give Valentine's to everybody. And I've always told both of my boys, just whenever the school does something, give to everybody until the year that they stop. But don't take it personal if that year they stop, you've given it to everybody. But somebody's going to get their feelings hurt because they thought people were friends and they're not. And they're going to find out real quick when the school no longer requires them to give gifts to everybody that you got 1 or 2 out of pity or 1 or 2 out of obligation. And nobody wants friendship out of pity or obligation, okay? And so you make sure you thoroughly evaluate the situation and then work to make your situation better. Somebody is a potential friend when they are making an effort to get to know you apart from the group. Not in a scammy, buy me something, give me money, do something for me kind of way, right? But like in a, let's do coffee, let's go to lunch. I've got 2 tickets and my husband's sick. Want to come with me to the game? I'm having a get together. I'd love for you to come. Or we're going to play bunco. Would love to have you join us. Or maybe we're playing, I keep saying bunco. I haven't played bunco in years. One of our regulars can't make it. We'd love for you to take her place this time. That could be a start of a new friendship. And it might not, but it could be. Those invites, hey, not cool. Those invites don't mean that you're friends, but getting to know the person who invited you on a different level could lead to friendship. And if you like them, hopefully you're reciprocating by inviting them to spend time with you in your world, right? You know, and eventually you'll see where it goes, or it doesn't, but you don't know until you try. And now if you're the one,
Get off.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt your leg too much.
all right. Okay. So now the other thing is, a lot of times, especially the older we get, a lot of us have to kind of make the first move. And that hurts because you make the first move. And this is something that I'm starting to see, and I'm not even that old yet, right? I'm starting to see that people are really locked into misery, and they're really locked into criticism, and instead of changing their lives, they're really just like, I'm going to complain. I'm going to sit here and complain while somebody else is taking more market share by being creative and innovative and trying something new. I'm going to sit here and complain about the next generation instead of understanding what makes them tick so you can hire them to take your business to the next level. I'm so angry about this and that health issue that I'm going to sit here and complain, and I'm going to stew in my own juices rather than get out and move my body a little bit. And it won't make me feel all the way better, but it'll make me feel a little bit better. And me, I'd rather be around the person who's trying their best to feel their best, even though they're never going to feel like they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, But I find that we also have to be willing to lead in that area as we're trying to develop the friendships. And I'm not the best at that. I'm going to admit right now, there's a couple people that came to my mind, even as I was preparing this lesson. And I was like, I do care about them and I value them, but I don't even know what to say anymore. When groups fall apart, or when other things like, life happens and you go your separate ways. A lot of people, if you don't live there, you're out of sight, out of mind. Okay. And you were stationed together for 5 years, and y'all gave gifts, and y'all did dinners, and y'all did shopping, and y'all did everything, and they moved and you moved, and you're still sending gifts, and you're wondering why they don't text you anymore. Well, a lot of people are out of sight and out of mind. Okay. It's not that something's wrong with you. It really, I feel that deep in my soul. It's not that something's wrong with you. It could be. I'm not going to sit here and say it couldn't be. But if you're on my channel, it's probably because you got a super really big heart. And most of the people that come in and out of our lives, they're targets of opportunities. You're all stuck together on a base, and you're in a specific situation. You make friends fast. You move on to the next base. And every once in a while, one or two of those people become really good long-term friends. But everybody else, they were in the moment. And that's okay. It doesn't feel good to realize you were an in-the-moment friend. But once you realize those dynamics, then you can pay better attention to what's happening and manage your expectations accordingly. Okay. So I'm going to recommend that if people are not happy with their level of reciprocity when it comes to gifts, that you start initiating more friendships with more people. So what do I mean by that? Everywhere I travel, and again, I'm not the best at this, but I try. Everywhere I travel, I try to meet as many people as I can. Most people weed themselves out real quick as far as somebody who could be a friend. Most people weed themselves out real quick. A couple, I'd say maybe 10% emerge as somebody that, hey, if I'm in town, I would love to go to eat with them, go to coffee with them or whatever. And maybe, and I've got to I learned this from somebody else that I met at the last big conference. And she was like, oh, I'm doing all my Zoom coffees with everybody I met. And I thought, I have not done that since COVID was over. I was like, I got to get back into doing that because, you're trying to get to know people. But I don't expect, I figure every big conference I get to, I might get one person that is going to really connect with me. Maybe every other conference, maybe every third conference. Okay. So, but I'll never know if I don't initiate. I'll never know if I don't invite people to lunch. I'll never know if I don't invite people to coffee, or if we're at an event, try to sit next to them and get to know them. Okay. So sometimes we've got to be the one to make the first move. So if you are the one that does all the that starts the asking, Um, Hopefully you're paying attention to whether they also invite you places, whether they initiate texts or calls with you sometimes, whether they think of you from time to time in other areas, and whether they think to ask about important things going on in your life, school, family, pets, business, etc. And that the fact that they don't doesn't mean they don't love you, because I know that I'm not that great at that. I try to be, and I have a friend who's amazing at it, and this is where I sometimes feel a little like, ooh, she knows everything about everybody. She remembers everybody's birthday. She remembers all the struggles they're going through. She can pick up a conversation with everybody. It may be 3 or 4 months. It'll be like they never finished their conversation. They just pick right up where they left off. She knows the birthdays, the anniversaries, the struggles, and the this is and the that is, and the last time you got appointed. Like she really should run for office. That's how strong of a mind this person has for people, you know. And I'm always in awe of her when I see her, because she's not trying to work a room, and she's not trying to manipulate anybody, and she's not trying to do anything but minister to people. But she's just so amazing at it, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I've got to, I've pretty much got to put your stuff in my phone so I remember it's so and so's birthday today. It's so and so's anniversary today. Hey, 6 months from now, ask, or 3 months from now, ask how so and so's mom's treatments are going, because that just doesn't come naturally to me. but but that's what people sometimes need. And if you're not somebody who needs those things, keep in mind that you may be, ooh, I know you're not gonna like it. I know you're not gonna like what I'm about to say. But you might be sending signals that you don't want to be friends. I know it hurts. I was sending signals for a long time to people that I didn't want to be their friends. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing. So you've got your strangers, then you move up to acquaintances, you move up to potential friendships, so you're exploring a friendship. Now level 4 is a friend, and this is where you spend lots of time together. Now, whatever lots of time means for the two of you, some people need more time than others. You're involved in many areas of each other's lives. You might shop together, you might eat together, travel together, bring your laundry to over each other's houses and fold as you chat. I remember when I used to do that back in the day. We'd bring our laundry together, because otherwise it was just going to sit in the laundry chair anyway. But we would bring our laundry, we'd do our laundry together while we watched the show. We really didn't watch the show. We just chit-chatted, and it was nice. It was just a nice little thing to get, some of the ladies in our singles group. It was just nice to have some fellowship and actually to have my laundry folded. But back in the day, they did, like the quilting groups, and you can still find quilting groups and crafting groups and needlework groups and quilting group. I already said quilting. The knitting and the crocheting and painting groups and things like that. The level of friendship, when you really are a friend with somebody, this is where this is where your interactions stop being so transactional. And by transactional, I mean quid pro quo, this for that. I sent you a card, and then you feel obligated to send me one. You bring me a casserole when I'm sick. It bothers me until I find a way to pay you back. I might not even know that it bothered me. I just might think in the back of my mind that I'm being a good friend because I'm paying you back. Always be on the lookout for that kind of language, because that indicates that the person you're talking to is still not at the level of friend. It's still transactional. And for some people, I'm not going to let you owe me. They won't allow you to owe them. And that's part of what friends and family do sometimes. Sometimes I do for you, sometimes you do for me. I buy you a gift because it's your birthday and I want you to be delighted. I don't really like to buy people birthday gifts because I'm not good at gift giving. I'd rather take you out to lunch on your birthday or dinner, because at least that way I know you're going to get what you want. I shouldn't even front like that. But when I hear transactional language in what I thought was a friendship, I don't throw away the friendship. I simply drop it back down in my mind and I back off a little bit to see if the person re-engages. You know, I might not have noticed. I'm always the only one sending texts and they might respond. And when I hear transactional language, then I notice they never text me first and I back off a bit. Now, not completely if I really like them. I mean, you can't build a friendship with somebody without pouring into them. Okay. But maybe you go from every day to twice a week or once a week to once a month and you see if they noticed and you take it from there. Okay. And for many of my clients who are walking the journey that I walked, which was a really hard journey because I probably let go of too many people. And I don't want to ever say that I let go of anybody because I'm not the kind of person to kick people to the curb. If you liked me before I was, somewhat known or I was actually somebody and I actually had some clout or written some books, like I cherish that. I cherish that because in my growing up life, I don't have very many people like that. I don't have many people who were ever in my corner growing up. And so the people that were are precious to me, whether we ride together or not right now. The fact is, you were there for me, you were kind to me when back in the day. I'm not going to kick you to the curb. But if I don't need what you're offering in the moment, I might just back off a little bit of reaching out or of saying anything or of inviting you to things because you always say no. And so I just, okay, I'm not gonna forget where I came from or anything. But for me, when I look at these levels of friendships, I find that I had to let go of interactions that made me feel bad about myself. And some of those interactions, like I said to somebody one time, because I mean, it was like 6 months to a year later. Like they hadn't even, I don't know if they didn't notice or what, but they're like, well, why'd you disappear out of my life? And I was like, I didn't disappear. I just stopped. I just stopped volunteering information. I'm still there. I'm still on your phone. I'm still in the group chat. I just stopped. And they were like, well, why'd you stop participating? Like, because every time I did, I felt like I was getting criticized. They literally called me up to criticize me for feeling criticized. And I was like, I'm sorry. I got all these issues going on in my life. I got all these health issues. I got these lumps and these bumps and these things that are going. I'm not even trying. Look, y'all can take that. I don't need that in my life right now. Let me get through this season of my life. And if I get through it, okay, y'all will be there when I get back. Your criticism will be there when I get back. But sometimes, y'all, we have to give permission to people to speak into our lives. And some of the things they say may not be pleasant for us to hear. But everybody doesn't get a vote. Only your level 5 friends. Those are your close friends, your inner circles. These are your ride or die buddies. These are the people that you will go to the ends of the earth for when they need you. Your friends are somebody, I hope this never applies to me, but your friends, they say, are someone you call when you end up in jail. Your close friends, your inner circle, those are the people who you end up in jail and they're in the cell next to you. And most of us have very few actual inner circle friends. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, but when I first became a young adult and started my military career, I honestly thought everybody was my friend. Everybody was my friend, If you were nice to me, didn't abuse me, you were my friend. You didn't criticize me all day long, you were my friend. You fed me or invited me for a meal, you were my friend. My friend bar was very low. My friend bar was very low because my upbringing was very critical and shaming. So it did not take much for me to think you liked me. I'll admit I'm embarrassed about this, but I already admitted it last year when we talked about the same thing. So anybody who's been with me for a number of years, you already knew this about me. In fact, you don't know this, but people see it in you before you even see it in yourself. Okay, that's really why I've let go of trying to pretend that I'm this, or I don't know that I was ever a really big pretense person, but I already know. You already saw me coming and going. You saw my weaknesses and my energy and all those things. You already saw it coming and going before I even realized it about myself. And for most of us who are watching me right now, you may not realize this, but other people see your energy too. They see your insecurities. They see your frustrations. They see the programming that has been put upon you since you were a little baby about how you're not good enough, you're never going to be nothing. They see it when you walk in, they see it when you walk out. And if you don't deal with it, you will be just like I was for years, thinking that just because somebody doesn't treat you bad, that they're a friend. Because my normal baseline of how people treated each other was critical and mean. Now, a little bit of that might be that a little bit of oversensitivity on my part. Not going to say a lot of oversensitivity, but there have been moments. There have been times. There have been times, I will admit, I hate to admit it, that maybe I was a little oversensitive. Maybe I took things the wrong way. There have been those times, okay? Which is why you do need inner circle friends. You need somebody who can say, like, look, that's not how that meant. That's not what I meant, and you're taking that way too personal. And you need people like that. Because a lot of us, the only people that say stuff like that are people that are trying to scam us. And so we need people that we can trust. And you say, well, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60 years old, and I don't have inner circle friends anymore. The ones I had either died off or they changed with whatever. I'm not even going to start naming stuff. That happens. That's why we must continue to meet new people. Okay. Ooh-wee. Okay. I know I have said a mouthful. Okay. But the bottom line, we just came through this holiday season. Some of us out there, we went out and spent lots of money we didn't have to buy gifts for people who did not care. We made all the cookies for everybody, and nobody so much as said thank you. You gave all your clients a free copy of your latest course, and then you got your feelings hurt when nobody registered for it. Now, look, I would get my feelings hurt too. Look, send me your course. I'll register for your free course. You can teach to me. I mean, seriously, okay. Let me just do a quick aside. I remember when I used to have Maxwell Mondays. Y'all remember Maxwell Mondays? Who remembers Maxwell Mondays? Send me a PM if you PM me your Cash App if you remember Maxwell Mondays, and I'll send you a little something. I stopped it because John Maxwell himself started doing Maxwell Mondays, and I was like, well, I can't compete against the man himself at lunchtime. But some of us have been taking advice from people who we thought were friends, but they just wanted to sell us coaching or other products. And we were so desperate for someone to love us and to care about us that we fell for it. And some of you felt for it over and over. And I'm here to let you know, I love you. I care about you. I want you to succeed. I don't need another gift from you ever again. Now, don't get me wrong. I love for you to give me a gift. I love for you to buy my courses. But if you take these videos and you go out and change the world, or if you're listening to the podcast, if you're not on us with us live recording on Thursdays, and you're listening to me as part of the podcast, and you go out and change the world, that is all I really need to be happy. So stop giving your inner circle gifts to your outer circle friends or your periphery acquaintances. If you want to give gifts to acquaintance, that's a great way to draw them closer. But make them acquaintance gifts, not inner circle close friends gifts. You want to bless someone you just met or a group of people that you don't know, bless them. But don't bless them expecting acknowledgement or payment or reciprocal giving. Bless them and allow the Lord to repay you. the podcast. All right, everybody. I'm back temporarily. I was about to be done, but my computer conked out just before I closed out. Hopefully you heard what I was saying. If you're going to give people gifts, make sure you're giving people the gifts that are commensurate with the level that they're at. And if you want to stop having so many unrequited gifts in your life, follow these levels of friendship and cultivate more friends. Not necessarily newer friends, but perhaps a better job of cultivating the friends you have. And if the friends you have are not there to be inner circle friends, then that's when it's time to expand your circles. I'm JJ Conway. Y'all take care and be blessed.